Hey everyone, welcome back to Gamecasters, and in this video I'll be doing the Patterns of Justice Tempest Rush Monk build for Season 20 in Diablo 3. Sorry, I spaced there on what I was even doing here. Um, lately I'm going to be starting with the skills first, and then going over to the gear to better explain where the stats for the gear comes in to affect your skills. I'll also be going over the passives and the cubed items first, and then we'll move over to the gear. So starting off, we'll be running Blinding Flash with Faith in the Light, Tempest Rush with Flurry, Serenity with Ascension, Mantra of Salvation with Agility, Epiphany with Desert Shroud, Sweeping Wind with Master of Wind, and for our passives, we'll be running Relentless Assault, Beacon of Yatar, Near Death Experience, Harmony. And for our cubed items, we'll be running 1 Kim Lao. Hitting with Tempest Rush will activate Cyclone Strike, and both skills deal 600% increased damage. Balance: the damage of Tempest Rush is increased by 600%, and when your Tempest Rush hits 3 or fewer enemies, it gains 100% critical hit chance. And running Ring of Royal Grandeur reduces the item or number of items needed for set bonuses by 1 to a minimum of 2. Now for our weapon and moving up and around, we start with the Slanderer with an emerald in the socket, having lightning damage, damage percent, dexterity, crit hit damage, dex from augmentation, cooldown of all skills by percentage, which comes from the socketed gem. For our gauntlets, we'll be running Bazubands of Justice with dexterity, vitality, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, dexterity from augmentation. And for the set of Patterns of Justice, this will have, for the 2 set bonus, Sweeping Wind gains the effect of every rune, and movement speed is increased by 5% for each stack of Sweeping Wind. For our 4-piece set, attacking with Tempest Rush reduces your damage taken by 50% and increases spirit regeneration by 50. For a 6-piece, hitting with Tempest Rush while Sweeping Wind is active increases the size of Sweeping Wind and also increases all damage dealt by 15,000%. For our shoulders, we'll be running Mirrors of Justice with Dex, Vitality, Resist all elements, Dex from augmentation, and cooldown of all skills percentage. For the chest piece, Lemilars of Justice with 3 diamonds in the sockets, having Dexterity, Vitality, Resist all elements, Life percentage, and Dex from augmentation. For our helmet, Decree of Justice with Dexterity, crit hit chance, Dex from augmentation, a diamond in the socket, which reduces the cooldown of all skills by 12.5%, and Tempest Rush damage percentage, with a potential cold resistance on there. Those are secondary stats. It also has reduced duration of control effects by 40%, so it's all up to you if you want to run those secondary stats, if they really affect how you're playing. For our necklace or amulet, we'll be running Squirt's Necklace with cold skill damage, crit hit chance, arcane resistance as a potential secondary stat, having a Bane of the Stricken in the socket. Each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by a percentage. Gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. And while not taking damage, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%, and damage taken is increased by up to 50%. For our bracers, we'll be running Caesar's Memento with cold skill damage, dexterity, vitality, crit hit chance, dex from augmentation. Enemies take 777% increased damage from your Tempest Rush for 5 seconds after you hit them with a blind, freeze, or stun. Now again, that percentage on that stat is based off of the gear drop itself. it could be realistically anything between a certain amount. I believe it caps out at 800%, but don't quote me on that. For our offhand, we'll be running Little Rogue with poison damage, damage percentage, dex, crit hit damage, and dex from augmentation. Secondary stat is chance to knock back on hit, and then you'll have area damage on hit. This person did re-roll that, so you are looking for area damage on this build. This will also have an emerald in the socket. For our first ring, we'll be running Convention of Elements with crit hit damage, crit hit chance, dex from augmentation, and a potential physical resistance. This also has cooldown of all skills percentage, and a Bane of the Trapped in the socket. Increase the damage against enemies under the effects of control and pairing effects by percentage. Gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%. Gain a percentage increase to damage to a single element for 4 seconds. This effect rotates to the elements available to your class in the following order: Arcane, Cold, Fire, Holy, Lightning, Physical, and Poison. For our secondary ring, the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac with crit hit chance, dex from augmentation, and cooldown of all skills, and a reduction in all resource cost percentage. A Tyguck in the socket for this ring. Gain a percentage increase to damage for 1.5 seconds when you spend resource on a channeled skill. This effect stacks up to 10 times. Reduce the remaining cooldown of one of your skills by 1 second when you hit with a resource spending attack. And gain 2% increased armor for every stack. For our boots, we'll be running Weaves of Justice with Dexterity, Vitality, Resist All Elements, Dex from Augmentation, potential Thorns damage, and life from health potions and globes, as well as Tempest Rush damage. For our pants, we'll be running Captain Crimson's Thrust with Dexterity, Vitality, Resist All Elements, Dex from Augmentation, and potential life after each kill. Now this is part of a secondary set for the build, which is why the Ring of Royal Grandeur comes in. This gives you, at a 2-piece set bonus, 6,000 life per second, reduction in cooldown of all skills by 20%, reduces all resource costs by 20%. At a 3-piece, damage dealt is increased by your percentage of cooldown reduction, which is where the higher the cooldown reduction you have, the more damage you'll deal. Damage taken is reduced by your percentage of cost reduction as well. For our belt, we'll have Captain Crimson Silk Girdle, which is also part of the set bonus. This will give you Dex, Vitality, Resist All Elements, Life percent, Dex from Augmentation, and a potential life after each kill. I believe that covers everything for the build. So again, it focuses heavily on your cost reductions and your cooldown reductions to pump out damage. There's a few other things in there that add to it. Your crit hit chance, crit hit damage, cold skill damage is really good. It also has poison and lightning, but those are kind of based off of what the weapon drops with. But there is that. Oh, I actually did miss something. The weapon set bonus. Every time you spend primary resource, you gain 6% increased attack speed, damage, and armor for 5 seconds, and this stacks up to 5 times. I completely passed over that. I completely forgot this is a set bonus from the weapons. So this is technically running 3 different sets that you're getting bonuses from. You're getting the Captain Crimson's Trimmings, you're getting the Istvon's Paired Blades, and you're getting the Patterns of Justice. And all 3 of them really work well together. I'm surprised by this build. But anyways, if you guys like this video, hit the like button. I'd love to do more of these for you guys. My goal is to get to the point where I can do gameplay for you guys and show off the builds, do this full time, help out everyone. Also, if you enjoyed the content, check out my other videos, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps me reach that goal. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.